This is Sales Management Mastery, episode 21.
Welcome to Sales Management Mastery, where you get an insider's look on how to build, motivate, coach, and lead a high-performance, low-maintenance sales team. Here's your host, Ralph Burns.
Hello and welcome to Sales Management Mastery Online at salesmanagementmastery.com, and we're here to help you and your sales managers build a team of highly motivated, elite salespeople using easy-to-use, real-world sales management techniques and tactics that'll unleash a flood of new sales for your sales organization. On this episode of Sales Management Mastery, we teach you the importance of powerful motivation in sales management, and specifically how to motivate sales reps who are primarily motivated by the need for importance and prestige. I'd also like to remind you that if you'd like to get a jump start on creating your own team of supercharged salespeople using our proven system, you can claim your free training course of your choice, including our most popular training of all time, How to Motivate Your Sales Team to Peak Performance, at the Sales Management Mastery Academy by going to salestraininggift.com. Now, obviously, in previous shows, we've talked about the importance of motivation and how profound an impact a good sales manager has on the sales performance of his team if he can motivate and keep his team highly motivated at all times. And obviously, it's a tremendously important skill for us all to learn, and especially in this type of economic environment right now. The difference between sales performance above expectation, sales performance below expectation is largely determined by small things a sales manager can do every single day to keep his sales team at the top of their game and highly motivated, because after all, as a person who oversees a sales force, whether you're a frontline sales manager or maybe an owner of a business or maybe even in a sales training department, you're not out there with your salespeople all the time. So you need to have them motivated even when you're not there. So we've talked about a couple of different ways in which to motivate, and specifically about these motivational profiles, which we started to talk about a few shows ago, which you can get inside the Sales Management Mastery Academy. For our paid members, there's a motivational questionnaire which creates a sales motivational profile for each of your salespeople. So you end up motivating each one slightly different, although they do overlap in all the 5 metrics which we talk about. And today we're going to talk about one in which is a pretty common one that I think most salespeople are motivated by, and I think to a degree all humans are motivated by this as well, which is the need to feel important, or prestige as we call it within the Sales Management Mastery Academy. So this kind of salesperson, after you fill out your motivational questionnaire and get a good idea as to where their primary motivations are, has a profound drive to feel important. Now, I think Dale Carnegie once said that we all have a profound drive to feel important, but I think with salespeople there's varying degrees of this, and there's certain characteristics that this type of salesperson shares that you can really, using some of the techniques that we're going to talk about here in just a few moments, you can really uncover those deep, profound motivations and get them to a sales performance level that is above expectations. So one of the characteristics of this group is that they depend heavily on the feedback of others. And one of the major feedback mechanisms that a salesperson has is through their frontline sales manager, which is you, or your VP of sales, or whoever you are within the organization. And we have a lot of members inside the academy that are not just frontline sales managers, but they're salespeople that are becoming sales managers or are maybe in a different line of work in like the engineering field and now have switched over to become a frontline sales manager because of economic conditions. And we also have lots of business owners as well who have salespeople out there but have never really managed salespeople. So nonetheless, the salespeople that you have or that you will have or that you may be training typically are looking for any kind of feedback or any kind of reinforcement as to what they're doing is correct or not. So this is a very popular way, this is a very common set of motivational profiles here that we're going to talk about here, this need to feel important. So I would surmise that if you have 10 salespeople, chances are 9 out of 10 of them probably have this profound drive to feel important, but some probably, maybe 1 or 2, have it more than the rest of them. That's why we have that motivational profile questionnaire inside the academy, which helps you do that. So they have a very strong need to show evidence of their achievement to others. And this might be perceived as an attempt to show superiority at times. Sometimes these people are maybe ridiculed by their coworkers because they always have this profound need to feel important and to have others sort of recognize them for their tasks. And a lot of people might feel that this type of salesperson is extremely egotistical. In fact, it masks the sometimes profound feelings of inferiority. So it's on the opposite end of the spectrum. So as a result of that, they might suffer from poor self-esteem. And this is the value that the sales rep places upon themselves, which is the way that they feel about themselves. And making this kind of salesperson feel good about themselves is the absolute key to motivation, and it heightens their self-esteem, and it increases your chances of sales success, both with them as their sales manager as well as them as your salesperson. So the level of self-esteem that each one of these types of salespeople have must be assessed by the sales manager primarily through observation. So you've got to be very clear and be able to pick up all these little cues that show whether or not your salesperson has high or low or moderate self-esteem. And this is somewhat tricky to do, and that's why we give you the questionnaire. But you look at this as, a combination of very hard tactics in which you can have them fill out a questionnaire, but it's also a lot by observation. So you have to be really tuned in to the highs and lows of your salespeople. And if this person that we're talking about here has a profound need to feel importance, chances are there is some profound insecurities that they have, and you can pick that up through verbal or nonverbal clues as a good sales manager. So the good thing I think about salespeople in general is that the sales rep who feels good about themselves generally succeed. But poor self-esteem leads to approaching some tasks with an expectation of failure, which reinforces these feelings of insecurity. So not that we want to get into psychology 101 here, but you are dealing with humans, and you've got to be very, very careful and very in tune with these highs and lows. And if these feelings of self-esteem that maybe are lacking at times lead to poor performance. And I think we've all had times where we've entered maybe a new venue and we haven't really felt good that day or whatever the reason is, and we end up not being as successful as we do when we're brimming with confidence. And I think this is not just a salesperson, sales manager principle, but it's a human principle as well. So another thing about this group is that failure in one area of his job might lead to failure in multiple areas. And with the prestige-driven sales rep, really, it's hard for them to kind of compartmentalize their areas of weakness. And they want to be perfect in so many different ways. And because they typically have very high expectations for themselves, they might overreact to failures. And this is something that you've got to safeguard against and be very cautious of as a sales manager. Now, with this type of sales rep, you need to be very careful with criticism and sarcasm with this salesperson. This typically isn't the type of salesperson that you can joke with, and kind of make fun of a little bit, because it goes the opposite way. Somebody who has very good self-esteem, you can joke with them about their failures or their, in which ways they're deficient, because they can deal with it, because their self-esteem is good on the whole. But a salesperson that you ridicule, or maybe not even ridicule, but denigrate to a certain degree, they end up really feeling poorly the entire day, and they take it much more personally than somebody who has higher self-esteem. So this is, like I said, everyone wants to feel important. We all do. But if you've got 10 salespeople, probably 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of them have this kind of profile that you've got to be very careful that you don't criticize them, especially publicly. You can certainly give constructive criticism, but if anything, make sure that you do it in private. So the best way to motivate this group of salespeople is to use what we call the talents-based motivational model. And this boosts